mother's not looking.
What's going on, everybody? Back with another episode of Past the 40. Today's guest is Payel Gupta. Payel, how are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Very happy to be back on the microphone for a Past the 40 series. Where are you calling from today?
Brooklyn, Fort Greene, Brooklyn.
And I am 15 minutes away, maybe 10 minutes away in Carroll Gardens, Brooklyn. And it's a shame that we didn't plan better and are doing this over Skype rather than in person.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Nonetheless, we are here, and we're here to ask you 40 questions about your turning 40. How you feeling? You prepared?
Yeah, pretty good.
You ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. How did you celebrate your 40th birthday?
My husband threw me kind of a surprise birthday party. I knew something was happening. I kind of, he asked me for a list of people I'd want there. So I knew something was happening.
That's usually a dead giveaway.
Right. But he planned it all out. He did it on this great hotel in Williamsburg on the rooftop. And it was really, really special. He did a great job.
Awesome. When was that? When did you turn 40?
September 29th.
All right.
And it was actually to the day because my birthday was that Saturday. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
So born in Nairobi to Midwest to New York, what ages for each? What's been the journey that got you from Nairobi to Fort Greene, Brooklyn?
Yeah, so we left Nairobi when I was around 5 years old. And actually we landed in Flushing, New York.
Okay.
And I went to kindergarten in Flushing. And then my dad got a job in Michigan. He's also a physician, and he got his residency in Michigan, in East Lansing, Michigan. So we moved out there, and that's where I grew up. That's where I went to elementary school, middle school, high school, and then I ended up going to staying in Michigan for undergrad and med school, and then moving to Chicago for 4 years. And then finally making my way out to New York City about 10 years ago.
Okay, so we have to mention some similarities here. First off, I grew up in Forest Hills for a few years. I also went to college in Ann Arbor.
Oh, cool. What year did you graduate?
And now we're in Brooklyn again. I graduated in 99. Obviously, we're close to the same age.
Yeah, I graduated in 2000.
At Ann Arbor?
Yeah, from U of M. Yep.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
All right, wow. we have a lot to talk about now.
Yeah.
I don't know how we did not land on that in our back and forth.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, I went to Michigan too. Yep.
Crazy. All right. So you mentioned doctor, and I mentioned that in the intro, and you're triple board certified, which I assume is even more impressive than it sounds. How long did that take in school, and do you practice one of the three things, or is it a combination of all? I watch Grey's Anatomy, but I don't really know how it works.
Yeah, it is pretty confusing actually, but it's the journey's pretty similar. I went to, did finish undergrad, then went to 4 years of med school, and then I did a combined residency in internal medicine and pediatrics. So basically internal medicine is 18 and over, and pediatrics is from birth until you're 18. That's kind of the distinction. So you either treat only kids or you treat adults, but I kind of did a combined training where I treat adults and kids.
So you could treat anybody.
Yeah, so I could treat anyone. And then I decided to do a subspecialty in allergy. So I'm an allergist. So I treat, food allergies, environmental allergies, asthma, all that kind of stuff. It was a journey. It was fun. It's just a lot of tests. That's all it basically is.
And then now, do you can you still treat anyone, or are you more towards the allergy side of things?
So I am specialized in allergy. So I do only see asthma, allergies, immune disorders, that kind of thing. But I do see kids and adults. So that's the distinction. Mm-hmm.
And along those lines, you have your own podcast starting shortly. Tell us about it. When is that debuting? What's it called? And what's the premise?
Yeah, so it's called The Itch Podcast. So
Nice.
It's everything about allergies, asthma, and immunology. And it's doing it with my friend Courtney, who is an allergy blogger that I actually met through Instagram.
Okay.
And she's super successful and kind of writing about her experiences with her allergies and her asthma and her eczema. And so we're just kind of going to have a conversation to help people learn about all those kind of things in a more kind of informal way. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun.
Are there a lot of, since, I mean, she's a successful blogger in that space, are there podcasts in that space as well? Is there a lot of competition in that niche?
You know what? There isn't.
I wouldn't think so. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but there's millions of people with allergies.
Right.
So we're hoping that people will be interested enough to listen.
Pretty good. You're primed for a key spot right there. When you were young, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Pretty basic. I thought I wanted to be a teacher, for a really long time. So nothing super crazy.
And when did you, at what point in life were you like, that's not really for me and I'm going to go study medicine?
I think during undergrad, I just kind of realized that, teaching, I could be a teacher if I was in medicine too. And I think just growing up with somebody in medicine, you kind of do as you see. I understood what it felt like to live with someone who's a doctor, and I appreciated how much he could help his patients and how he could help family and friends and all that kind of stuff. So it just kind of fell into that.
Yeah. And what's something that you're super excited about right now?
I'm super excited about the next chapter that's starting. I'm on my journey to hopefully being a mom soon. And I'm just excited about that. Excited and nervous. And I think, as a 40-year-old woman, I think it's pretty cool that I still have that option. So
yeah.
It's exciting.
That's definitely something, not many more things to be excited about than that.
Yeah.
If you could give a TED Talk on any subject, what would you choose to speak about?
Why you should take a sabbatical and travel around the world.
And we're going to get to that in a minute. We're going to do a couple of little, I know you're a travel addict, self-proclaimed, so we're going to get to that. So I'm going to hold off and get back to that in 1 second. Yeah. What's the worst job you've ever had?
When I worked in the urgent care. I worked as an urgent care doctor, and I couldn't stand it.
That's like where just people just walking in all the time with just stuff.
Random stuff that they are worried about, and it was too much for me.
Is that like part of your training?
No, it was actually after I finished all of my training. I had like a year where I was kind of just hanging out and waiting to leave on sabbatical. And so I had to find a job. And that was one of the jobs that I found.
Doesn't sound fun.
It wasn't fun. A lot of angry people, a lot of just wasn't my speed.
People telling you that something's wrong with them when they're totally fine.
Yeah, and just being angry about it. I don't know. It's a weird, I feel like the urgent care is like being a waitress, but for people that are really angry and not happy. Whereas like being a waitress, you're always like dealing with fun, happy people.
Totally.
Yeah.
What are you curious about?
What am I curious about? How I can make a meaningful impact on the world.
Have you figured that out yet?
No. And I think that's what this next phase of life is all about. Getting over myself and figuring out what I can actually do.
Nice. Well, what's a great piece of advice that always stuck with you?
Stop worrying and it'll work out. Like everything's just going to work out. Like
so far, so good. Has that held true?
Yeah, it really has.
Were you a big worrier at one point in life?
I still am.
You are.
I still am. I'm still like a little bit of a worrywart until it's all said and done.
Are you worried about this podcast episode?
No, not anymore. Once things get rolling, I'm
right,
like,
totally. Once you're in it, that's actually many of the guests have felt the same, that they're kind of nervous at the beginning, and then like 2 minutes later, they're in a conversation. It's totally normal.
It's a conversation, yeah.
Who is a celebrity crush of yours, if you have one?
I would say Emma Watson. I think she's really cute, and I think she's pretty awesome and that she's using her kind of celebrityism to be like a female like activist.
Sure.
So I just think she's pretty cool, and I wish more celebrities did that.
Yes, people with platforms definitely are not speaking up enough.
No, I don't think so.
That's
She's doing a good job.
back to the topic of travel, which is a big one for me as well. You mentioned sabbatical, and you mentioned to me offline that you left for 2 years to volunteer to travel the world. So how did you come to that decision? And you're obviously happy that you did it. What time in your life was it? Just tell us about that decision.
Yeah, so I'd finished med school, I'd finished residency, I'd finished my fellowship. So I was about, I think I was like 32.
A lot of
And
school.
yeah, yeah. And then I stayed around for a year before I left, but because my brother was about to have his twins and he kind of wanted me to be around and not traveling the world. So I stayed back for a year, and then I kind of just I everyone thought I was crazy. They literally thought I was crazy because, this was the time when I was finally done with school. I could find a
Start
job.
your
I could
life.
be finally making money,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I actually want to leave.
Good for
I
you.
want to leave, and I want to see different parts of the world. And, I volunteered. So the way that I made it work was that I was a volunteer for parts of it. And so I was getting my food and housing paid for. And seeing, like, I was in Liberia for 4 months volunteering. I was in Nepal for 7 months. And then I was in India for, I think, about 5, 6 months. And then I traveled, then I backpacked through Southeast Asia on my own.
Amazing.
For
What type of volunteer work were you doing?
I was doing medical volunteer work. So I was working in small hospitals and doing a lot of, some patient care, but mostly kind of figuring out like better systems, like putting better systems in the hospital and in Nepal, I was helping like coordinate construction projects for the hospital and coordinate staff and a bunch of different roles that I'd never thought I would have. So
That's awesome. And on the TED Talk question, it was why people should do this. So why do you think that this is? Obviously, it doesn't have to be 2 years, doesn't have to be volunteer, it doesn't have to be on that side of the world. Why do you feel it's necessary or a positive experience for people to take this on?
well, I think there's a statistic out there that most Americans don't even have passports, and I think traveling the world for me, or just being since I was little, we used to go back to India, we used to go back to England where my mom grew up. So I've been a traveler since I was really tiny. And obviously, I was born in Africa. So I guess it's just been a part of my life. But I think for people who haven't had that experience, I think it's eye-opening. And I think everyone else, not everyone, but, the British do it, the Germans do it, Australians, New Zealanders, they're all out there. They're all traveling. When you're in Southeast Asia, you're meeting all of them, and they're all seeing the world. They're all getting a different perspective on life, and not just the perspective that we see on a daily basis.
I couldn't agree more. I lived in Spain for a little bit in 2010, and I just came across so many people from everywhere.
Yeah.
And they just like knew so much about the world, where I feel like my friends, and maybe it's just the dicks that I hang out with, but they're just not experienced like all these people were, just like you're saying. So I couldn't agree more. I don't know why more people don't do it. It's something that I definitely want my family to prioritize.
Yeah, I think it's a fear of like not having enough money, not kind of doing what we all kind of think you should be doing, which is
Sure.
Getting a job, buying a house, buying a car, having 2.2 kids. That whole trajectory gets thrown off a little bit, and I think people are really nervous about that, and it doesn't fulfill that American dream.
No doubt. And then when you have kids, like, oh, what do I do with them about school? How am I going to take care of them? It's going to be so hard. Everyone.
Right.
It's very easy to come up with excuses not to do it, but I think it's so valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the best trip that you haven't taken yet?
The best trip that I haven't taken yet. I still want to keep exploring Africa. So there's like all these different places that I was just looking at a map the other day, and I was like, oh, there's so many places that I haven't been yet that I really want to explore.
The world is vast.
Yeah.
If you had to live outside of North America permanently, where would you choose?
Ooh, that's a tough question. If I were to live outside of North America permanently, I think it would be somewhere in Europe for sure, because it's just like the central access point to the rest of the world.
Yeah, so easy to get around. Yeah,
it's
totally.
like kind of comfortable if I had enough money and I could live somewhere in Europe. Oh, actually, Denmark.
All right.
I lied. I already know Denmark. I've just heard amazing. I've never been to Denmark, but I've heard it's the happiest place on the earth. You know, they've done all these studies where everyone's happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I dated a guy briefly that was, no, two guys actually that were from Denmark. And yeah, they both seem pretty happy.
I went to Copenhagen when I was, I don't know, my mid-20s and had a great time. And someone that I met when I was living in Spain, who I still am in touch with, he moved to Denmark and hasn't left. So
yeah,
there's some good feedback from there.
Yeah. I think if you could become a citizen, I mean, and your kids would have that opportunity to do their whole, you know, like they get all their education paid for, but everyone travels for like 2 or 3 years after they're done with like high school. I mean, it's an incredible, just their view on life is super cool. Yeah.
Amazing. If you could have a drink with a fictional character, who would that be?
Oh my gosh. I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know. I was trying to think, well, one person I thought of was maybe Julia Roberts from Pretty Woman.
I was going to say Julia Roberts is a real person.
But
you mean her character?
I just thought it was a super interesting role, and I just want to talk to her about it.
All right. That works.
Yeah.
Who comes to mind when you hear the word successful?
Oprah, Michelle Obama. I just read her book. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, those are the couple names off the top of my head.
I will accept both of those answers.
Yeah.
Let's say I had to go on a long road trip from Brooklyn back to Ann Arbor, and you had to bring 3 people with you, not family members. Who would it be?
Yes, I would say it would be my 2 best friends, Brianna and Teresa.
Okay.
Bri I've known since we were 12 years old. And interesting about our relationship is she actually, we kind of connected the summer that she was moving away. Her mom and dad were divorced, so her mom decided that she wanted to move to Montana, and we met right before she was moving. And then we maintained this like friendship just every summer that she came back into town to hang out with her dad. And I mean, we are so close still to this day that it's crazy. So definitely she would be one of them because she keeps me grounded. She is super savvy. She knows how to do everything and anything. I mean, she's a real Montana girl, you know.
I like that.
If we got stuck in a raft, she would know how to like paddle us.
Right. I wouldn't know how to do that. Yeah.
And then my friend Teresa, who has been my friend since undergrad, since Michigan days. She's also a doctor and just super awesome. Political. I think she's gonna be in politics. She's gonna be something soon.
Awesome.
See her name, Teresa Oni.
Okay.
And then the last one would be my friend Sarah Grizzle. So Sarah, I actually worked in her restaurant. So I was a waitress while I was doing my fellowship in allergy. So I was technically a doctor, but waitressing in New York City because I love waitressing and I missed it. And I wanted to be a part of the service industry in New York City. Mm-hmm. So I waitressed for about 2 years at her restaurant, and then we just became really good friends. So
what restaurant was this?
It's still there. It still exists.
Okay.
She just had her I think 10-year anniversary. And it's called Poco. It's a small Spanish tapas restaurant it's not actually that small, but it's on the Lower East Side. Avenue B and Third. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. They're known for their lobster mac and cheese.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of both of those items, so putting them
yeah,
together probably doesn't suck.
yeah. And they're super drunk brunches. So
All right. Poco, it's on my list.
yeah,
The one brunch I may get out when my kids are at grandma's one weekend.
yeah. You can bring the
What
kids.
if I asked Bree, what 3 words would she use to describe you?
Strong, independent, and social.
Those are good ones. She must like
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
All right. If I had to ask her one more question, how would she fill in the following sentence?
Uh-huh.
I love Payel. She's the best, but I wish she were a little less blank.
Uh, Judgmental,
Okay.
unfortunately. Yeah, it's real. It's true.
Is that something you have been trying to work on at all, or that's just part of it, and that like it or hate it, that's coming with you?
No, I mean, I think it's a part of my honesty trait,
Okay.
and it maybe comes across as being judgmental, but it's just my eyes, it's just being honest.
Right. If you're always right and it's true, it's not really judgmental. It's
Yeah,
just spitting
right.
facts.
Yeah, just spitting out facts that might sound a little bit harsh sometimes.
Hey, nothing wrong with that if it's true.
Yeah.
What's a piece of advice you would give to your 20-year-old self?
Um, Basically, uh, around the same kind of thing. Just don't worry, everything's gonna work out. You're enough.
What is something that you've tried that you'll never ever try again?
Um, Unfortunately, cheese.
Is that a health thing or a choice?
Yeah, it's
You said
like
unfortunately, so I assume it's not choice.
it's not choice. I am a vegetarian and I was a cheese loving vegetarian, but as over the last 2 years, I've become severely lactose intolerant, which is a part of, I guess, getting older. And it sucks, but I think I really need to stay away from it.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, that was the only thing I could think of. I'm like, you know what? There's not very many things that I wouldn't do again.
Is there anyone from your past that you feel you owe an apology to?
Um, yes, there are several people.
Several. Uh-oh.
Um, yeah, I would say, um, uh, yeah, one of my old friends from college, uh, Shalu. And she was one of my first friends in undergrad at Michigan, actually. And I don't know what happened, but I really loved her. And somehow our relationship got thrown off. And I think, and I wish that it didn't. I think about that often. So, yeah,
It's never too late.
never too late.
She's
You're right.
probably watching this right now since this is going out to tens of millions of people across the globe.
Right?
So
Right?
she'll find out one way or another.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be the moment.
Yeah.
If you win the lottery tomorrow, what are 3 things that you know for sure you would do with the money?
So cheesy stuff. I mean, I would definitely start some kind of charitable organization in the middle of nowhere to help kids and help build their education. I would travel and I'd help whatever family and friends that needed it.
You mentioned that you seek balance often in life. How do you approach that? Is it a work-life balance thing, or is it just balance across all facets of life?
I think it's a work life balance for sure. I think I really try to leave work at work as much as I can. You know, I mean, I'm on call for the next 2 weeks, so I will be carrying around my phone and staring at it, making sure it's not ringing. But besides that, for the most part, I really try to keep work at work, and I try to enjoy my time outside of work, and try to enjoy everything that New York City has to offer before I have kids.
Meaning that once you have kids, you can't enjoy anything.
I don't know. That's what it feels like. I'm not really sure.
It's different.
A
It's
40-year,
different.
I mean, yeah, you're talking to a 40-year-old who's waited as long as possible to do this next.
Yeah, listen, I had My kids are young. I had them late. I had them later in life as well. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What do you turn to in times of stress?
Um, I turn to my friends. I like to call people and just I don't like to stay in my own head. I like to make sure that I'm talking to someone about whatever is stressing me out.
That's a good thing to do. Get it out of your brain as much as possible.
Yeah, not sit with it because whenever it sits with me too long, then I start going into weird tangents that don't even make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
What is something that hangs on the wall in your home?
Well, you can see some of it. But there's one painting. I don't know if you can really,
Yeah.
but it's there. It's of a man and a woman. My husband and I got it on our first trip abroad together. We were in the Philippines, and I saw this artist in this restaurant, or I saw this artwork in this restaurant. Sometimes you can buy it. So I was like, hey, can I buy that? And they're like, no, you can't buy it. But the artist lives in this town. We were in this tiny little town, tiny little island called Siquijor in the Philippines. And so we hunted him down. I mean, we asked everybody in this small town where this guy lived, and they just kept pointing us this way, that way, that way. And we actually ended up at his home, and he let us pick. He had this whole wall full of his artwork, and he let us pick anything we wanted.
What about it? What about it was so captivating that you had to go find this guy?
I love collecting art from different countries. So that's kind of my thing as I've gotten older. Instead of picking up like little trinkets from every place I go to,
Yeah.
I try to get some kind of significant artwork. That, I can talk about later. So this particular guy, I just liked the way that he drew people. He's a people artist. And so the one that we picked is they're basically, it's a man and a woman lighting a cigar together. So it's a cool.
Yeah,
image.
very cool.
Yeah.
What would you eat for your last meal besides piles of cheese?
What would I eat for my last meal? Shit. Maybe bibimbap.
Do you have a specific go-to spot that when you're feeling that you want some of that, do you go somewhere, or you just anywhere is good?
I mean, somewhere in K-Town, but I don't have like a go-to spot that we go to. I kind of like trying new places, even though sometimes it doesn't work out.
Have you been to Mandu?
No.
It's on 32nd in Koreatown. Very good dumplings and bibimbap. Check it next time.
I-
Put it on the list.
I'm putting it on the list.
Is there anything that you're taking for granted?
Anything that I'm taking for granted. I think if you ask my husband, he would say that I'm taking him for granted a lot of the time.
As would basically every husband on the planet, I would assume.
Yeah. But I try not to because he's actually a pretty good husband.
That's good. Pretty good is acceptable these days.
Yeah.
If you could have personally witnessed one event in history, what would you want to go back and see?
So for this one, I'm going to make it personal. Sure. I would actually want to go and be a little fly in the wall to witness my mom's first ever date, whenever that was.
Not with your dad, just first date, period?
Yeah, no, I mean, my dad and my mom had an arranged marriage, actually. So they didn't have a date.
They had a wedding as their first date.
They had a wedding. But my mom passed away when I was 12, and I never really got to have these conversations with her. And I've heard some stuff through the grapevine, like my aunts and uncles and how she was and how I remind them of her because I'm kind of like this free-spirited, kind of independent, angry, wild woman. So I just would want to see what that looked like.
That would be awesome. You have no context. You have no idea who it was with, where it was, what they did, how old she was, nothing.
I'm pretty sure she was somewhere in her like early 20s or like, yeah, I bet you she was pretty old. Mm-hmm. Or no, actually I lied. She was only like 22. So no, she must have been like 18 or 19 or something. And I guess she dated a white guy. She grew up in England. She dated a white guy, which was like
Big
a
news.
major no. And yeah, I just want to see what he was like and what her type was back then.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
What is a skill that you want to acquire in the next 40 years of life besides motherhood?
Um, I want to learn how to dance house, like to house music, those like crazy, like kind of like intricate, like funky foot foot moves that people do on the dance floor. That you go out and you're just like, how are they doing that? I've always wanted to do that. I'm a dancer, and for some reason, I just never.
You just can't get that genre down. Can't nail that one.
I don't think it's that I can't. I think it's just that I've
I
never
haven't done it yet.
Yeah, and
All
so
right.
that's been on my list of things to do, and I'm going to do it.
That seems incredibly doable, especially if you're a dancer and have rhythm to begin with. I think if you have rhythm, you can pretty
A
much
little
pick
bit
up
of
any type of dance.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think you have to have a lot of creativity, and that's the part that I'm like, I don't know if I have enough creativity, but just it's very like fluid, creative kind of dance, and I'd love to like learn that.
What are you afraid of?
I am afraid of another Trump.
How about this one?
Yeah, I'm afraid of this one, and I'm afraid of him having another chance, and I'm afraid of anything involved with people that are like him right now.
Very fair.
Yeah.
Looking back, what is something that your parents or parent did really well?
Um, I think it's that teaching the value of money. I think that's a hard lesson to teach kids.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I think to a certain degree, maybe I'm too cautious about money, but I think it's better to be more cautious than not. So I appreciate my dad for teaching me that skill.
What is something that you complain about more than anything else?
Something that I complain about.
Often.
Something that I complain about often. Selfish people.
You complain would your husband answer the same?
People that I perceive to be selfish.
Okay.
I think so. I think he would say that that's one of the things that I seem to complain about.
What is a quirk of yours that few people know about?
That I don't chew my food. I eat super fast, and I don't really chew my food.
Like literally don't chew it, or you just eat fast? Because those aren't necessarily the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I barely chew, according to my husband, and I just kind of swallow and
Engulf.
super fast. Yeah, I just eat super fast.
I'm the total opposite. I always take my time.
See, that's so nice. That's another thing that I'd like, that I am actively working towards changing, is like kind of being more mindful and like enjoying my food.
I don't do this, but I've read a good way to to put that into practice is after each bite, put down your utensil.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so like
Slow
it gives you the automatic pause, so you can't just keep going in and if you have it in your hand, you're like already putting the next bite in your mouth before the other one's even chewed or not even chewed in your case.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could live relive a single day from your past exactly as it happened the first time, what day would you want to experience all over again?
It was the second time that I met my husband, but not specifically because of just meeting him, but because the day was just perfect. I mean, I think it was like one of those perfect summer days where it wasn't too hot. And my friend was having this barbecue, and he had wanted me to invite my girlfriends so that my girlfriends could meet his friends. And it was this like perfect, like meshing of our friends. And then we had this like we had a whole like spread of great food, and one of our friends brought a guitar. We had like a sing along. And then all of a sudden we were all just having so much fun that we decided that we're all going to get changed and go out dancing. And we literally stayed out until 4 o'clock in the morning. And found the best dance party ever. I mean, it was just the best music, and we were all sweating. I mean, like sweating, totally drenched in sweat.
I miss those days.
It was the best day night ever.
Where was the best dance party ever?
I don't even remember. I'm sure my husband would remember, but I don't remember. It was in the basement of some place, and the DJ was phenomenal, just playing like really like eclectic. Like I think at one point there was a live drummer, it was one of those like, yeah, just awesome.
What's a great compliment that you've received that has stuck with you through the years?
Well, it wasn't that long ago, actually. It was my little brother on my wedding day. He is 14 years younger than me. And he came up to me, and I didn't really let anyone do speeches during the wedding. So I felt like he was just kind of he pulled me to the side, and he just like, I just want you to know that I love you, and you've been the best big sister. And because of you, I want, I've had this desire to travel and to help other people. And it's really because of you. And I was just blown away.
That's a great one.
Every time I even tell that story, I get a little bit teary-eyed.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
I'll have him tell it in 2033 when he's a guest on this on this podcast. How long ago was that? How long have you been married?
We got married 2 years ago, June of 2017, so a year and a half ago.
All right.
Yeah.
What is something that all 40-year-olds should go and try ASAP, a call to action?
Well, I mean, I think we already kind of talked about it, but I think
travel.
Everybody should have a passport and travel, leave this country. It's a beautiful golden country.
Yeah, get out of here while you still can. While you still can.
Yeah.
If you could work for any person in the world, who would it be, and what job would you want?
I think I'd want to try to work for Oprah, and I'd want this like crazy job where I would get to like travel and then find like little organizations that are doing like a really good job helping people, and then kind of that would be my job, is like scouting out all these awesome organizations that she could then
help more.
Elevate and help more.
Does that job exist or not? I think she would be down for that.
Yeah. Okay, Oprah, let's do it.
Yeah, she's probably listening as well.
Listen to this. Yeah.
All right. So Oprah, let's hit us up. We're gonna make this happen.
Yeah, let's make this happen. But that would be my dream job.
If you were hosting this podcast, what is a question that you would want to ask other fellow 40-year-olds?
What was turning 40 like for you? Because it felt like a big deal for me. So I think I'm always curious when I meet like patients that I see are just about to turn 40 or just turned. I'm like, are you fazed by this at all, or is it just me, or what's going on? Because it was like at least 2 or 3 months that I was basically driving my husband crazy.
What did it feel like for you?
I mean, when it actually happened, it didn't feel like anything, right?
But just the idea of it.
Leading up to it, it felt like a lot for some reason. It just felt like it was this kind of moment to pause and think about everything I had and hadn't done, Probably the hadn't done was like kind of in my mind more than the had done.
Yeah. I mean, that's the premise of this whole podcast really is about that thinking once you turn 40.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of time to get all those things done that you might not have had done.
Yeah. That's what I'm starting to realize.
We're at the last question. I know time flies when you're having fun. It's like nothing even happened, right? 40 questions just like that.
Yeah.
What song will you choose to play us out of here today? Every guest gets to pick the walk-off music. So
right.
What did you choose and why? So
just as a homage to all the other 40-year-olds out there, I was going to play the Tiffany, I Think We're Alone Now, just because that song always brings me back to a moment when I was 12 years old in my basement, like making up random dance moves and just singing. So that's it. That's a good one. I think everyone will be super psyched in a few minutes if you're listening on audio on the podcast. And where can people find you if they want to check you out, check out your podcast, or just say hello? Yeah, so our podcast is at the Itch Podcast. So on Instagram and we have a website, itchpodcast.com. And then I'm also on Instagram as NYC Doctor.
NYC Doctor and the Itch Podcast.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Payel. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did this. Happy 40th.
Thank you.
And have a great day. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time on Past the 40. Bye-bye.